It was the bombshell no one saw coming. In a shocking twist, Mendeecees Harris has filed for divorce after a DNA test revealed a truth so devastating it could shatter everything we thought we knew about his marriage to Yandy Smith. Social media erupted in chaos when Mendeecees dropped the shocking news. The results of a DNA test had exposed a secret Yandy had been keeping for years. Fans were left stunned, questioning everything about the couple they once admired. Had Yandy really been hiding such a massive truth? And what does this mean for their future? Mendeecees could hardly believe his eyes as he stared at the DNA test results. His hands trembled, gripping the paper so tightly his knuckles turned white. The words blurred before him, but the message was clear. The child he had raised, the child he had loved as his own, was not biologically his. His mind raced, desperately trying to make sense of it all. How could this happen? How could Yandy, the woman he had trusted with his heart, betray him like this? She had stood by him through everything, through his darkest days, through trials and tribulations, only for him to find out that she had been keeping a lie of this magnitude. The weight of the revelation was suffocating. Every memory with that child flashed before his eyes. The late-night feedings, the bedtime stories, the birthdays he had poured his heart into. Every moment suddenly felt like a cruel joke. How long had she known? How long had he been living a lie? Without hesitation, Mendeecees grabbed his keys and stormed out of the house. He needed answers, and he needed them now. His heart pounded in his chest as he sped through the streets, anger simmering just beneath the surface. It wasn't just about the child. It was about the years of deception, the shattered trust, the life he had built around what he thought was the truth. By the time he reached home, his emotions were at a boiling point. The front door was slightly ajar, the warm aroma of dinner filling the air. Yandy was inside, standing by the stove, her back turned, completely unaware of the storm about to hit. He stood in the doorway for a moment, taking a deep breath, trying to steady himself. But the second he saw her, the rage bubbled over. "Yandy," he called, his voice tight with emotion. She turned, her face lighting up with a smile, that same warm smile he had fallen in love with. But when she saw his expression, the smile quickly faded. "Mendeecees, what's wrong?" she asked, stepping toward him, concern written all over her face. He didn't answer. Instead, he pulled the crumpled DNA test from his pocket and held it up. His hand shook as he shoved it in her direction. "Explain this." Yandy's face drained of color. Her lips parted, but no words came out. The panic in her eyes was impossible to hide. "Mendeecees, I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. "You don't know what I'm talking about?" His voice rose, the betrayal cutting deeper than he thought possible. "This test says the child isn't mine, Yandy. For years, you let me believe I was his father. How long have you been lying to me?" Tears welled up in her eyes. She tried to speak, but every word stuck in her throat. There was no way out of this. "Didn't lie," she finally whispered, though even she knew how hollow the words sounded. "It's complicated." "Complicated?" Mendeecees' voice was sharp, filled with disbelief. "You think lying to me about my own child is complicated? No, Yandy. It's betrayal." Yandy's heart pounded. She had always been the strong one, the one who held everything together. But now everything was unraveling before her eyes. "I didn't mean for it to happen this way," she pleaded, her voice shaking. "I was trying to protect our family." "Protect our family?" Mendeecees let out a bitter laugh. "By lying to me? By lying to that child?" His voice cracked with emotion. "Do you have any idea what this is doing to me?" Yandy could no longer hold back the tears. They streamed down her face as she shook her head, struggling to find the right words. But there were none. Nothing she could say would erase the damage that had been done. Mendeecees turned away, running a hand over his face. He had been through a lot in his life, but nothing had prepared him for this. Nothing had hurt like this. "You've broken me." "Yandy," he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. Yandy sobbed, reaching out toward him. "Please, Mendeecees, just listen." "No," he cut her off, shaking his head. I can't, not right now. And with that, he walked away, leaving Yandy standing there, alone, drowning in the weight of the truth that had finally come to light. She had kept a secret, a massive secret, for so long. But now, it was all coming to light. Mendeecees stood there, his expression unreadable, but Yandy could see the storm brewing in his eyes. He was hurt, betrayed, and she knew he wasn't going to let this slide. This isn't just about the test, Mendeecees finally spoke, his voice dark with emotion. It's about trust. Everything we built, everything we've gone through together, it all feels like a lie now. How do I even know what's real? Any more? Yandy's hands trembled at her sides. She wanted to say something, anything to fix this. But there were no words that could undo what had been done. The silence between them stretched on, suffocating and heavy with the weight of their broken bond. Do you even love me? Mendeecees asked softly. His voice was barely above a whisper, but the pain in it was undeniable. Yandy's heart pounded, in her chest. She had feared this moment more than anything, the moment when all her secrets came crashing down. She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. How could she make him understand? How could she explain something that even she struggled to come to terms with? Mendeecees exhaled sharply, turning away from her. His voice hardened with every word. I can't do this, Yandy. I can't keep pretending that everything is okay when it's not. I need space. I need time to think. And just like that, he walked out the door. Yandy stood frozen, the reality of the situation crashing over her like a tidal wave. Mendeecees was gone. And deep down she knew things would never be the same again. The days after Mendeecees' departure were filled with nothing but chaos and confusion. Yandy wandered through their empty house, haunted by memories of a life that now felt like a distant dream. She had never imagined things would come to this, not after everything they had been through. Her phone buzzed constantly. Messages flooded in from friends, family, and even fans. Everyone wanted answers. Everyone had their own theory about what had happened. Some sided with Mendeecees, insisting he had every right to walk away. Others defended Yandy, telling her that everything would work out in the end, but she knew better. The damage was already done. The moment Mendeecees walked out, he didn't just leave their home, he walked out of her life, and with every passing hour, the distance between them grew. He wasn't answering her calls. He wasn't responding to her texts. She was losing him, and she had no idea how to stop it. Reality hit her hardest when she finally spoke to her mother. Miss Smith had always been her rock, the one person she could turn to in any situation. But when Yandy told her the truth, her mother's reaction was anything but comforting. How could you let it get this far, Yandy? Her mother's voice trembled with disbelief as she paced across the living room. You lied to him, and now you've ruined everything. Yandy swallowed back the lump in her throat. I never meant for this to happen, Mom. I didn't want to hurt him. Her voice cracked. In the beginning, I didn't even know how to tell him the truth. Miss Smith's eyes narrowed. And now, look where we are. You've destroyed your marriage. You've destroyed your family. You need to fix this, Yandy. And you need to do it fast. The weight of her mother's words settled on her shoulders. This wasn't just about her and Mendeecees anymore. This was about their family, their future. But how do you fix something that's already shattered? How do you undo years of lies and betrayal? Meanwhile, Mendeecees was facing his own storm. His phone hadn't stopped ringing since the moment he walked out. Friends, family, and fans were all reaching out, offering their support. They told him he had every right to be angry, that he was strong for walking away. But none of that mattered. He had always been the strong one, the one who kept things together. But now he felt like he was drowning. One afternoon, he met up with his brother, the one person who had always had his back. They sat in silence for what felt like an eternity before Mendeecees finally spoke. I never thought I'd be here, he admitted, his voice heavy with hurt. I thought I had it all, the family, the love, everything I wanted. He swallowed hard, and now it's all a lie. His brother placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You don't have to explain yourself, man. We're here for you, whatever you need." Mendeecees let out a bitter laugh. "I don't even know what I need anymore." His voice cracked. "Yandy, she lied to me. I gave her everything, and she did this to me." He clenched his fists. "I don't even know how to look at her the same way." His brother hesitated before asking, "Have you talked to her?" "No," Mendeecees admitted, shaking his head. "What's there to talk about? She lied. And now what? I'm just supposed to forgive her?" He exhaled sharply. "I can't even wrap my head around it. I've been trying, but it's eating me alive." The weight of it all was suffocating. Every time he thought about the future, all he saw was a broken family and unanswered questions. Was this truly the end? Could they ever come back from this? Across town, Yandy was battling her own demons. She had never felt so lost, so alone. Her phone rang. It was her best friend, the only person who had been there for her through it all. "Yandy," her friend's voice was firm but concerned. "What are you going to do? This whole situation has gone too far. You can't just sit there pretending like everything is okay when it's clearly not." Tears welled up in Yandy's eyes. She knew her friend was right. She had to do something. But the question was, what? And even if she found the answer, would Mendeecees even listen? "I don't know what to do anymore," Yandy admitted, her voice shaking. "I tried to fix it. I tried to make everything right, but I think it's too late. Mendeecees won't even talk to me. He's done with me." Her friend was silent for a moment before responding. "This isn't just about you and Mendeecees anymore, Yandy. This is about the truth. It's about what's right. You need to own up to your actions, no matter how hard it is." Yandy knew her friend was right, but facing the truth was harder than anything else. She had tried to protect Mendeecees, to shield him from pain, but in doing so, she had created a lie that spiraled out of control. Now there was no undoing the damage. The consequences were too far-reaching. As the days passed, Yandy and Mendeecees' worlds continued to drift apart. He leaned on his friends and family for support, while she clung to the fading hope that somehow, some way, she could fix the unfixable. But as the drama unfolded, the divide between them only grew deeper. Mendeecees wasn't just grappling with the betrayal of his wife. He was confronting the foundation of his family being shattered. The public was watching, waiting to see what would happen next. Fans were divided. Some blamed Mendeecees for walking away, while others defended his right to stand up for the truth. What started as a private issue had become a full-blown spectacle. Social media exploded with opinions, memes, and theories about what would happen next. Every post Mendeecees made was dissected, and every appearance Yandy made was scrutinized. The fallout from the DNA test scandal had gripped the world, and no one could escape it. Mendeecees, however, remained silent. He needed space. He pulled away from Yandy, from the media, from everything. He was searching for clarity in the middle of the storm, but the questions kept haunting him. Could he ever trust her again? Could they rebuild what had been destroyed? The love they once shared felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by deception. But Yandy wasn't ready to give up. Despite his distance, she was desperate to make amends. She reached out, texting, leaving voicemails, even showing up at his favorite places, hoping for a moment of reconciliation. But every attempt was met with cold indifference. He wasn't ready to face her. He wasn't ready to forgive. Then, one evening, after weeks of silence, Yandy's phone rang. Her heart pounded as she saw Mendeecees' name on the screen. Was he calling to yell at her? To finally confront her? Or was this the moment she had been waiting for? Yandy. His voice was quiet, tired. "I've been thinking a lot about everything." Yandy held her breath. "Mendeecees, I'm so sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. I know I hurt you and I know I broke your trust. But please, I need you to understand. I never wanted to lose you." Mendeecees sighed heavily, the weight of everything pressing on him. "I don't know if I can understand it, Yandy. You lied to me for so long. I can't just pretend like everything is fine. I don't know who to trust anymore. I spent my whole life believing in the people closest to me, and now I'm questioning everything." A long silence stretched between them. Yandy could feel her heart breaking all over again. Healing wouldn't be quick. It wouldn't be easy. The damage ran too deep. Mendeecees, I know I lost your trust, I broke you, and I don't expect you to forgive me overnight. But I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make things right. I'm willing to fight for us, for our family. There was something in her voice that made him pause. The woman he had loved for years, the mother of his children, was asking for another chance. I don't know if I'm ready for that, Mendeecees admitted. But I'm willing to try. I can't promise things will ever go back to the way they were, but I'm willing to talk. I'm willing to listen. A flicker of hope ignited in Yandy's chest. It wasn't a promise of reconciliation, but it was a start, a small light at the end of a very dark tunnel. The following weeks were filled with emotional conversations, late-night talks, and therapy sessions. Both Yandy and Mendeecees had to face their demons, confront the pain, and navigate through the wreckage they had created. The lies, the betrayal, the mistrust, it was all there, looming between them. But they were determined to find a way forward. Their family felt the weight of the situation too. Their children sensed the tension, and Yandy's mother pushed for her to do everything she could to make things right. But Mendeecees wasn't in a rush. He had been hurt too deeply to simply fall back into the life they once had. Yet despite everything, there were small steps forward. He agreed to spend more time with Yandy, to see if there was anything left to salvage. They started sharing more, communicating better. It wasn't perfect, far from it, but there was a silent understanding between them. They both wanted something more than the pain they had been living in. But the scars remained. The trust that was once so solid now had cracks, and it would take years to repair. As for the public, the story was far from over. Fans continued to watch closely, waiting to see if this broken marriage could be mended. Would Mendeecees and Yandy find a way to rebuild? Or was this the end of one of reality TV's most talked about couples? Only time would tell. What do you think? Can Mendeecees and Yandy repair the damage? Or is it too late? Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts. And don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated on the latest twists in this unfolding drama.